So today my plan is to go through a whole bunch of little self-help techniques that we can add into our routines whenever we need them. So for a start, I thought if we would have a bit of a think, there's so much going on the planet. Where are we sitting, like right now, on the map of consciousness? So, when we sort of have a look at this lets us know what our frequency is. So, a lot of the techniques that I'm going to share today that you've probably heard before, but let's just pop them all together. It's about raising our frequency, raising our vibration, raising our resilience, raising our ability to live more happy, healthy lives on the planet. So, for example, if I'm chatting about the shenanigans going on the planet, I can get quite angry. So you can see down there, anger and hate, is around that 150. But if you stay there for too long, will create disease. That's why we need to bring in, love and hope and acceptance and forgiveness, into situations where it feels like we could easily lose it from being a little bit grumpy bum. Or if we're feeling embarrassed or ashamed to be here on the planet, that takes us all the way down the bottom to 20 and 30. So one of my distance clients yesterday, I did a surrogate balance for a woman who said she doesn't allow herself to take up an extra inch of space on the planet. So something happened when she was very young that allowed her to feel that she's not worthy. It's not worthy of her being a human out there on the planet. So just have a bit of a think about where we're sitting on that map of consciousness. At this very moment, I would say that I've had a bit of a fun morning, and I'm probably around that 300, around that optimistic, feeling hopeful, feeling inspired, feeling inspiring. And I do have the intention to share some really good techniques today. So the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the top stuff is the things that aren't talked about out there. It's about morality, creativity, spontaneity, problem solving, lack of prejudice, acceptance of facts. That's how we self-actualize. Then our self-esteem is really important. When we have confidence and achievement, we respect others and we feel respected by others. With love and belonging, we want to have those family relationships, the friends, the intimacy. All of that allows us to feel more loved and connected as human beings. Safety is a huge one. We need security of our bodies, of employments, of resources, of morality, of the family, of health, of property. And again, there's so many changes on the planet at the moment in relation to safety. I was listening this morning about AI and how it's going to change the way that governments around the world work. So it won't be them making decisions about what's right and not, it will be the AI. So there's some people talking about we need a treaty to keep us safe as human beings. Physiological, we need to be able to breathe. We need food, water, sex, sleep, homeostasis, excretion. We need to be able to take everything in and release the toxins. So that's the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But stress is such a big thing on the planet. The amount of people on antidepressants, antipsychotics, anti-anxiety drugs has gone through the roof from 2 years old. So it ends up leading to problems in our marriages and our relationships. It leads to infertility. It leads to many, many health problems, not to mention the fact that it creates financial issues. It can be linked with ADHD, work challenges, insomnia, and autoimmune disease. Autoimmune disease is the end result of our body attacking itself. So there's nearly always a stress or traumatic trauma that kicks autoimmunity into action. And in this little diagram, our amygdala is the part of the brain that stores those fight and flight, rage and anger, pain, punishment, escape, submission, freeze patterns, and it switches off our pleasure reward centers. And that can happen within 1/500th of a second. So that means that when we are having a good, happy, healthy day, someone triggers us, and next thing we're raving like a lunatic. Quite often, our conscious brain has not taken a breath. We've whipped into our amygdala and we're there in a heartbeat. And then we are truly acting like a 2-year-old. There's a funny thing we say in kinesiology. It's that our brains were programmed by 2-year-olds, because we don't have logic in our brain until we're 2. So there's so much. I love this sort of thinking about the left and right sides of the brain. And when I'm hearing people talking, I'm often, if I can see something, where they're more left-brained or right-brained, I often will have a bit of a play with that with them. So the left side of the body controls things like our ability to do 3D shapes, music and art awareness, intuition, creativity, imagination, subjectivity, synthesizing emotion, face recognition. The right side of the body is about number skills, scientific skills, maths, written language, spoken language, objectivity, analytical, logic and reasoning. Sorry, I got all of that right. The left side is about the right side of the body control. The right side's about the left side. Sorry about that. But I just love it when people are talking, people get certain words that allow you to feel which hemisphere of the brain feels right to them. And when our brain is scrambled, it can cause neurological disorganization. So some of the things we're going to talk through today help us reorganize our neurology, just really simple things that we can pop in anytime. So if the energy pathways are switched or scrambled, we might experience difficulty walking up and down stairs, learning challenges, dyslexia, spelling, reading, and comprehension challenges. Visual memory access can be a problem. Getting letters and numbers mixed upside down. Our mirror neurons don't switch off until we're 7 to 9 years old. For example, P's and D's or 2s and 5s. We can have an inability to concentrate, emotional challenges, inability to reverse a car. Our handwriting can go uphill. Our pencil grip can be really weird. And we can not be able to tell how far away something is, whether it's close or whether it's in the distance. So the first little thing we're going to think about today, and this is really easy, are emotional stress release points. So it's about holding the forehead, so halfway between the eyebrows and the hairline, and with respect to baldies, or halfway between where they used to be. So 2 fingers either side. And what we do, we wait until they start to pulse. And once we get that pulsing going on, that's a sign that we've brought the energy forward to the logical side of the brain on the left and forward to the creative side of the brain on the right. So I tend to recommend 2 fingers either side, and that gives you control over feeling where the pulse is coming from. Sometimes if you're just stressed, you will automatically whack your hands on, you get a bad phone call, you go, oh my gosh, tell me what happened. We do it automatically. Now there's a similar spot, top and bottom of the forearm, where you can actually hold in those spots. So that is similar to the emotional stress release points, and that one can be hidden if you're sitting at a table or something and you're feeling stressed. So that also helps to bring your emotions back into balance. And the other one, which is front back switching, is popping your hand at the front of the skull and your hand at the base of the skull and holding them simultaneously. So what that's doing is creating more neuronal pathways between the frontal cortex, which helps us to problem solve, and the rear of the brain, which is where our survival patterns live. So every time we're holding these together, we're creating new neuronal pathways, which is very, very cool. And you can swap. One of them will feel, more even than the other. You can swap, but it doesn't really matter. But just keeping in mind the right hemisphere of the brain controls the left side of the body, and the left hemisphere of the brain controls the right side of the body. The next thing I was sort of going to go through was a couple of these little switching points. Hey there, Sharon. So with the switching points, good to see you. This is one where we hold the kidney 27s. So they're sitting just in underneath our collarbone. And what we do, we hold our belly button and we rub our kidney 27s. So it's holding the belly button and rubbing the kidney 27s. And what this one does is helps to integrate the left and right hemispheres of the brain. So when we're not feeling emotionally switched on, when we're not able to write something we have to write or do some maths, basically this can just help to reconfigure that connection between the left and right hemispheres of the brain. Top-bottom switching. This one is sort of the top of the brain and the bottom of the brain, and that can help to integrate the whole body. It's sort of things where we're confused upside down, things like P's and Q's and 5s and S's. It really helps that brain-body connection, and it can be dizziness when we're going up and down. It can help. So this one, again, we put our hand on the navel and we rub top and bottom of the lips. And what this is doing is helping to connect the top and bottom of the brain, which is a very cool little home help tip. The front back switching, now I've got to tell you, some kids, they will notice if you do this one first. If you get them to hold their belly button and rub their tailbone and do that one, and then get them to rub the top bottom of the lips, they will notice every time. So basically this one helps the front of the brain and the rear of the brain to connect. Our visual centers are in the rear of the brain. Our cerebellum is in the rear of the brain. There's a whole bunch of neuronal pathways from the front to the back of the brain. So every time we're doing this one, we are supporting the front-back connections of our brain. It can be for people who can't look over their mirror in the car and reverse out. That can be a really big one, but I love the fact that it helps with conscious and unconscious connections in the brain. Tapping anti-clockwise over the heart. So this one helps to rebalance our brain disintegration. So it helps all of the left-right balance, the top-bottom balance, and the front-back balance. So the three that we just learned, holding the belly button and rubbing your kidney 27s, holding the belly button and rubbing the top and bottom of the lips, and holding your belly button and rubbing that tailbone, it does all three of those. So that's a nice little quick little hack you can do on yourself anytime. For kinesiologists, it doesn't give the information the way testing does. So when we muscle test it, we can work out which imbalance is out of whack. But I pop this in constantly during my kinesiology balances just to take a layer off the stress so I can get in deeper all over the place. Now, these ones are about the central meridian. So the central meridian runs from the pubic bone up the center of the body. Oops, sorry. So the central meridian runs from the pubic bone up the front of the body to the chin. And see where all the chakras are there on the front of the body. You're also going to shift some negative energy. So what we could do there is actually run that central meridian up and down a few times and then finish with 3 upward directions. And what that's doing is helping to get that more conscious brain happening, because this is the central meridian, and the central meridian is to do with conscious brain energy. I used to have a client who had her mother-in-law living with her, not you, Sharon, and she used to walk around the house going, serenity now, serenity now, serenity now. But it's amazing how quickly it picks up our conscious brain and allows us to feel a bit better. Sunshine, 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 sunshine. We need that first sunshine in the morning or as soon as we can. Don't stress if it's 9 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock in the morning, whenever we can. So what that sunshine in the morning does, it helps to increase nitric oxide release from the blood vessels. And nitric oxide release actually helps to elasticize our blood vessels, the endothelial cells on the inside of our blood vessels, which is a living, breathing part of our body. When we use things like Listerine and other mouthwashes, it destroys the microbiome in our mouth that activates the release of nitric oxide. So we need to stop doing the mouthwashes. We need to start doing the first sunlight in the morning and increase that cardiovascular health. Now, these are just a few things to avoid for longevity. And I know we've talked about these as well, but, a bit of a quick overview of all the self-help things we can do. So sugary drinks like soft drinks, fruit juices, and sweetened teas. How much sugar do we accidentally have every day? I think I mentioned last time I found a soft drink company that has 4 to 6 calories, but according to science so far, the sweeteners in there don't have any of the carcinogenic effects of things like aspartame and other ones. Ultra processed food. It's amazing when you look at the percentage of our foods that are ultra processed, that are bought by Australians and Americans. How many of them are ultra processed? They estimate something like 55 to 70% of the average Aussie and American, their diet is ultra processed, which is quite phenomenal when you think about it. So yes, packaged refined processed foods are not good for us. They're anti-nutrient. Foods that cause inflammation in your body. Now, that's not quite so easy because everyone's different. But actually, I'll share a little funny thing I saw before into our Health as Wealth group online. But for me, it might be red meat that's inflammatory. For Sharon, it might be soy. For some Wendy, it might be spinach and kale. So this is where seeing someone who can actually work out which things are not good for your body. Anyone who's willing to be open to eating those clean diets, doing, sort of work out which plant toxins are causing the biggest problems. It's worth a go working out whether, like we talked about last time, is it histamines? Is it oxalates? Is it the FODMAPs? What is it that is in our bodies? And then removing those for a period of time, or at the very least using muscle testing to find out how many clean meals per week we need in order to start reducing those plant toxins in our diet. Sorry, Sharon, it's horrid website today. The internet's really shocking.
No, all good. It went down. I couldn't get back on.
No, you're back.
Good, thank you.
Yeah. Coffee, obviously, in excess. I've had 3 today. I'm definitely not someone who's going to be out there cracking the whip about getting off coffee. But obviously, if it was causing me sleep issues and if I was having it too late in the day, it would definitely cause an issue. It is funny. Most of the studies that I find about coffee, and actually, when you think about most of the stuff that comes out that have been studied, you always have to look at where the money is coming from with the study. Most of the stuff that's anti-dairy is paid for by the soy industry. Most of the stuff that is anti-meat is paid for by the plant, industry. So, you have to sort of think about where this study is coming from. But when you look at it, the cleaner, the more organic, the more natural, what a surprise, that's the best. And coffee's been around for thousands of years. It's not something that we've only just started using in the last 100 years. Now, I say insufficient sleep. I'm going to give a little bit of a plug. There's a new product that I'm yet to try, but my rep told me about it last week, so I ordered some in, and it hasn't even made it onto my lists of things to muscle test for people. But it's a product called G-Lymph Clear. So basically, there's like these glial cells in the brain. Every night when we sleep, our brain should shrink by about 10%, 10 to 20%. And what's supposed to happen is then this fluid, this glymphatic fluid, whips through our brain and it cleanses our brain. So this G-Lymph product has been put together with the idea of firstly helping you into the level of sleep where that process has to happen, because it doesn't happen unless you get to a certain level of sleep. And then it allows these nutrients across the blood-brain barrier, and then it allows the cleansing to happen. So that's the first time I've ever had a product. Now, it may or may not work. I don't know. But it's an interesting concept to me that they've put together a product specifically for the glymphatic fluid, which and once again, I've been doing this for 30 years, so it's really nice to see something like that that's quite a new, exciting product for me to trial with people. Dehydration. How many people are dehydrated? Actually, there's a trick you can do if you poke out your tongue and have a look in a mirror or have a look in, your phone photo. If you poke out your tongue and you can see the ridges on the edge of your teeth, on the edge of your tongue, that is dehydration. So if you've got a nice round tongue and you can't see the teeth ridges on it, you're not dehydrated. So there's a nice little tip. Good old tongue analysis. Not feeding your gut bacteria. Oh my goodness. We do so many things that kills our gut bacteria, things like sugar and alcohol and processed foods and antibiotics and vaccines and all sorts of things. So it's really interesting. The things that feed the good bacteria are the fermented food. Once again, it depends on which foods are inflammatory and not inflammatory for us, but it's about feeding our gut bacteria. They did a study where they took a bunch of people from Africa. They plonked them into LA and they took a bunch of women from LA. It was all women for some reason. They plonked them into Africa and they basically swapped diets for 2 weeks, compared the microbiome before and after. And you won't be surprised that the Africans who came over to LA, their microbiome was decimated by the LA diet. The LA women who went over to Africa, their microbiome expanded exponentially. So our diet can change the number of gut bugs we have. We've got a couple of kilos of intestinal bacteria. If we're not looking after them, they're not going to look after us. Not eating fatty fish. We've got to have fatty fish in our diets. Well, it should be one of those things on our list, because omega-3s, we know that the higher the percentage of omega-3s on our cell membranes, the less all-cause mortality. The lower the percentage of omega-3s on our cell membranes, the higher all-cause mortality. And it was after that study was done that the Australian Heart Association removed the word oily on their website for people recommendation for diet. No conspiracy. Seed oils recommended by everyone, including the Australian Heart Association. Seed oils are incredibly inflammatory. We need to be aware of them and avoid them like the plague. Purified, at the moment, I'm currently, if any of you see one, I'm looking for, I found they're very hard to find. I saw an organic olive oil mayonnaise recently. All the ingredients were organic. It showed up like once or twice on my feed. I've not been able to find it since. So if anyone has a good organic olive oil or macadamia oil mayonnaise, let me know. Purified table salt, bad for us. Totally different to good old Celtic sea salt. Yes, purified salt is bad for us. Tap water, it's an antibiotic. Fluoride and chlorine, we need to avoid those. And I won't say this out loud, but oh my gosh, whatever we're taking, we need to be thinking about it and finding other solutions. Good old meditation. This will not be a surprise. And some people can't meditate because they've got an ADHD brain. And it's like saying, don't think of monkeys, don't think of monkeys, don't think of monkeys, don't think of monkeys. But there's a million ways to meditate. You might be the sort of person who just goes out walking through the bushland close to home every day. You might be the sort of person who just sits down and has a bit of a read or listens to people who raise your vibration online. Meditation isn't the same for everyone, but the whole point of meditation is to bring down your heart rate, to empty your mind, and to calm that internal chatter. And whatever, it's funny because my son Josh is a very strong Christian and he's been trying to get me to read the Bible for 30 years. So just recently I found on Spotify the Bible. So I have so far listened to 1% of it. It's 83 hours long. But it's sort of interesting. It's a really interesting thing to have playing in the background because it feels so familiar to me, having grown up as a Catholic. Anyway, it's just something I just noticed when I was listening to it, how it just feels really calming and nurturing in the background as opposed to irritating, which is how I thought it might have been. Anyway, it's a bit weird and interesting, but I thought I'd give it a go. Celestial circuit, love the celestial circuit. This is part of Kinesiology Foundations. We do this one over and over again because it is so powerful. So there is a big energetic connection. Don't forget, all our cells require energy. So when our cells don't have enough energy, they start to shut down and die. So we're an electrical being, and there's this electrical pathway between the central meridian, which we did before, so running that central meridian, and the governing meridian, which starts at your tailbone, goes up the back of your body, and comes back in underneath the roof of the mouth. And then the energy goes down through the body, comes back out through the pubic bone, and comes back up again. So we've got this constant little flow with this pattern called the celestial circuit. Now, the celestial circuit, when we're under trauma and stress, it can actually get blocked. It can run backwards. It can stall. It can break. So in Kinesiology Foundations, we learn how to do it, but there is a way we can hack that one to get it working again. If you're feeling out of balance, beside yourself, needing a moment, sit comfortably, pop your hands down over your base chakra, so over the pubic bone. Put your tongue on the roof of your mouth. With intention, bring your center of gravity back to just below your belly button. That's called your dantian, just in underneath your belly button. And then breathe for a few moments or minutes until you get a nice big sigh or a nice big yawn, or if you feel some sort of release. But it often takes anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes. And it's incredibly powerful because on the roof of the mouth, the tongue on the roof of the mouth, we're touching 3 governing points in there. So that's the unconscious brain. By having the hand over the base chakra or over the pubic bone, that's towards the bottom end of the central meridian. So by using intention, we're saying, hey, governing meridian up here, and hey, central meridian down here, are you guys communicating? And basically by running that for 30 to 90 to 120 seconds, at some moment you will be energetically bringing your center of gravity back into balance and re-switching on that electrical circuit between these 2 little meridians. It's a fantastic kinesiology tool, but we can do it as a quick little meditation. And this is the thing, if we can't meditate, we can definitely do these little things. This is a great little tip. So again, it's something in Kinesiology Foundations, it's a foot proprioceptor reset. So it helps to increase the connections from your feet to the 600 muscles in your human body. You move the tissue of the feet firmly in all directions to activate muscles all over the place. The toes are all about your neck and your brain. So when I'm doing it with someone on the table, I'm sort of twist and pulling each of those toes. You can do that to yourself. So the toes are all about the neck and the brain. How many people have got sore necks and brains? The inner arrows on the softer tissues increase energy to the intestines and digestive organs. So that's a really beautiful little reset. I do that one on my grandson Teddy regularly. He finds it, he wants it, but he giggles his little head off. Good old health benefits of sunshine, 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 sunshine. It boosts our mental health. Oops, sorry. We have less care. I can't see underneath my little sign there. Sorry about that. It strengthens our bones. We have less cancer risk. Helps us sleep better, increases our cellular energy, helps with weight loss for some of us who need that, gives us healthier eyes and lowers our blood pressure and improves all your healing in your body. So again, I know we've gone over this, but we cannot be afraid of the sunshine when it's a beautiful, spectacular, awesome day like today. Here's a little vagus nerve hack. So the vagus nerve is the biggest nerve in the body. And one of the areas where we have a huge amount of nerves connected are in and around the ears. So the way you know whether your vagus nerve isn't working properly, you might have dizziness or be lightheaded. You might have blurred or tunnel vision. sweating a lot, tinnitus, a ringing in the ears, turning pale, feeling faint, feeling warm or clammy, having nausea. So what we do with this one, we look in one, firstly, move your head from side to side, and then choose one side, doesn't matter which, and then roll your ear backwards in all directions. And then you get a bit closer on the ear and you do it again. But basically by the end, what you want to do is even all the way in and around as much as you can and behind the ear as well. Have a look at that nerve going all around that ear there. So what that does is helps to activate that vagus nerve, and then move the other side and do it again. Now, if your vagus nerve is stressed, it can mess with your digestion. It can give you depression and anxiety and trauma, all sorts of things. So how's that for a quick, easy little hack? And now feel your neck. Can you feel that it's a little more relaxed than it was a minute ago? Very cool tool. Gratitude, 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 gratitude. Gratitude has a really high frequency. So when we're feeling grateful, and I was chatting to a guy this morning and he's doing the gratitude throughout the day. He's welcoming, he's being welcoming with open arms, any and all good things for him. And you can really feel the energy change in his body. So when we're grateful, we're open. When we're grateful, we're in that mode of receiving. So I love the gratitude as a way of opening up our mind and our hearts for the day, or going to bed with it. So there's the guy who developed the bioresonance device that I love, the Solix bioresonance device, Lauren. He says so I don't know how he knows this, and I suspect he's tested it with machinery, but he says that forgiveness at nighttime is the most powerful thing to do before you go to bed, and gratitude in the morning is the most powerful thing you can do to start the day. Now, I don't know if that's particularly true, but it is lovely, isn't it, to think of someone that you need to forgive at nighttime so that you just let go of it while you're asleep. And sort of with gratitude, I sort of find that your brain gets to the spot when you're doing a gratitude journal. You don't want to say the same thing every day. So you might start, I'm grateful for Teddy, I'm grateful for Jason, I'm grateful for my family. But, do 3 days of that and you'll be bored. So your brain starts going out there into the world looking for something new to be grateful for, which allows you to see the world with different eyes. You might notice the taxi driver and how calm and gentle he was. You might notice when you're at the school, the people who allowed you to get to your kid because they were running late. So you just might notice things that you wouldn't have noted before. So gratitude is it's a frequency enhancing thing to do. And they've done studies with gratitude where if your gratitude for 30 days straight, and you do a gratitude journal, then people's happiness is higher for about 6 months to a year afterwards.
Wow.
Doing 30 days, which, is so cool that they've studied this sort of thing. They've also done things with prayer where if one household has someone praying, that it increases the happiness of the houses around it, which is quite phenomenal when you think about it. So anytime we do anything to raise our vibration, raise our energy, we are improving the life of people around us as well. So this is where we started. Where were we feeling at the beginning of this? Like I said, I've had a pretty good morning, but I tell you what, the last couple of weeks, it's easy to get down there into the anger and, feeling disappointed with things on the planet. So it's pretty nice when we sort of think about where we are, like how cool is this just to have a quick look at it and go, where am I feeling at this moment? Where am I feeling? Because so many therapists, they sort of say, well, where's your anger on a scale of 1 to 10? And that's not so easy to do because at this very moment, it might not be there. But if we are able to just look at this and feel the vibration of where you're at, because some things just make sense in the moment, don't they? Some things just make sense in the moment. So if you've had a morning where a bank knocked us back with a loan, or, parked my car around the corner because, it was broken down for 3 days. It's sort of like things can feel really heavy. And that's when to get out in nature, get that sunshine, get those switching points up and running, run the central meridian, do the little celestial circuit balancing, do the vagus nerve thing, get the emotional stress release points happening, or the rear frontal balancing. So the more of these things we can put into action on a daily basis, the more we will be open to life, open to possibilities, because it's that we can't see possibilities unless we're prepared for them. If we're in stress and anxiety and trauma, you're not going to see the possibilities out there. There's a whole bunch of possibilities out there in life, and we need to be on the lookout for them, because the world's a bit of a weird place at the moment. But I love this. I've been using the map of consciousness for about 25 years. And it's something that within kinesiology, again, my lists and things are getting better at the moment because of my high level training I'm doing. So because of that, I'm actually getting better at putting together all the stuff that I know in my head out onto paper. And it is amazing how often the map of consciousness is something that is useful to have a look at. Because if we are feeling in a bad place, once again, you don't need to be able to muscle test to do this. This is about having a look and going, yeah, I'm feeling really guilty this morning, and you just know you can't shift the guilt. And then if you go away and do those switching points, run the anti-clockwise over the heart, run your central meridian, hold your ESRs, the front back switching, your little celestial circuit balancing, go out and get 5 minutes of sunshine, sit on the ground, put your hands on the grass, get some grounding. These are the things that are going to raise that vibration. So you go back inside and you think, what was I pissed off about before? You almost forget sometimes, because we need to be doing self-care every single day.